Okay, next we'll get into some kick terminology. All right, so if I turn it at an angle so you can see this a little bit better, your front push kicks. All right, now a couple of details. Make sure when you're throwing your front push kick, that knee comes above your belt line. Super important for power generation, all right? So I lift that knee above that belt line and I drive through that target, really trying to extend on that push kick. That's known as your teep, okay? Whether it's a lead side or whether it's a trail side, your push kick is a teep. Now, this is not to be confused with a front kick. Like in karate, we have our front snap kick. I've also heard called a front ball kick. You're aiming with the ball of your foot, just like you are on the push kick on the teep, but it has more of a snap to it. Okay, I'm not driving through the target. So on a teep, if I'm using my trail leg on a teep, I'm lifting that knee up above the belt, so I can really kind of like you're in a leg press position. Okay, if you've ever lifted weights, you're on a leg press position, and then I want to drive through that target. We can use this offensively or defensively. A lot of times you're using the lead leg, you're using a lead leg teep defensively. Opponent comes in, we can lift that leg up, catch him in the midsection, push him back, cover some distance, and then we can reassess that situation and then attack or defend from there. Okay, we can use it offensively. Yes, you can use it to catch him up under the chin, catch him in the nose, in the solar plexus, in the bladder area. So this way you're doing a little bit more damage, okay? But again, it's a hard push. You're really trying to drive through that target. Where on more of a front snap kick, more of a karate stylist kick, what you're trying to do is you're trying to hit the target. So if I have an opponent just outside my kicking distance, they're moving in, instead of driving through the target, I'm going to snap that and then come back. Now, before we start on roundhouse kicks, we have to talk about targets. That's super important, okay? So we have low, which you're aiming for the thigh. The area that you're aiming for the thigh is if you're standing here, take your longest finger, middle finger, and you basically just run it around the side, around here. That's the area, that's your target. That's the line that you're aiming for. Now, more specifically, 45-degree angle. So if my hands, I run my fingers down the 45-degree angle of my body, right there, that's the spot, that's the sweet spot. That's typically where you want to lay your shin, right into the leg. So if I have my forward stance there, my opponent wants to try to catch me right here. All right, so on your roundhouse kick, so we got the low kick, which is the thigh, and then we got the coming around to the ribs. So you got the liver underneath their right arm, and you have the spleen underneath their left arm. So that's your middle, and then basically trying to connect around like the base of the ear, that little divot in the jaw, around there. That area right there is where you want that shin to lay. Okay, so you're gonna come up and across and lay it right in there. Okay, so that's your high. So again, you have your low, which is the leg, you have middle, which is the ribs, and you have high, which is basically you're trying to catch them in the side of the head, in the ear or something like that. Okay, all right. So the reason that those three targets are important is because that's going to dictate how your coach is going to tell you how to throw a roundhouse. Okay, so if I say right low, well, a right low means that I'm going to throw my right roundhouse kick to their thigh. Right middle means I'm throwing the right to the ribs. Right high is right roundhouse kick to their head. Okay? The same thing is going to go if I'm using the lead side. But we don't call the lead side necessarily a roundhouse kick. Typically, we're using a switch foot. Okay? Unless you're stepping in or you've switched your stance to throw the roundhouse kick, it's a switch foot. Now, how to do a switch foot is basically you switch the feet, but you don't change. So I'm facing, if you're my opponent here, my shoulders are facing the 45-degree angle of the room. I switch my feet. I'm still facing you. My shoulders are still facing the 45-degree angle of the room, and then I can whip this leg around into my opponent. Okay? And it's the same thing. Typically, your switch foot, you're going high with it. But you can go middle. You don't see too many people going low on a switch foot. There's not as much power on a switch foot kick as there is your trail roundhouse kick. Okay, so if I'm trying to do a switch foot and kick someone in the leg, that lead side is not going to have as much power as the trail side. Same thing with whether I'm going middle or high or low, it just doesn't matter. The lead side, that's why we're switching. We're loading up those hips, so this way I can whip that leg out and get a little bit more oomph onto that kick, because if I just step in and throw that kick, it's not going to have much on it. So your trail side is you just typically go, and it's the same thing for if you're a southpaw, it's just your left, okay? So for me, orthodox, it's gonna be right low, right middle, or right high. That's it. That tells you it's a roundhouse kick. You don't have to say right roundhouse kick high, right roundhouse kick middle, right roundhouse kick low. And the reason being is because you don't use the same targets on a front kick. So because I'm not going right low, I'm not going teep low, teep middle, and teep high, you don't need to have the terminologies aren't crossing over from kick to kick. So that's why, again, the power side, the trail side, we can go low, middle, and high and just leave it for whatever direction that we're going, okay? So if I'm a southpaw, I can have my left side here, and I can just say left low, left middle, left high, okay? All right, so that's just some basic day one terminologies that you guys kind of need to know to get started. It makes a difference on if you're standing in an orthodox or a southpaw stance. It makes a difference on which straight punch you're throwing, what roundhouse kick to what area you're throwing, okay? You guys have any questions, leave them in the comments, and I'll get back to them as soon as I can.